Charlotte Griffiths is getting her revenge on Prince Harry after the release of those bombshell messages.
Wait, when the statement today said, "We have learnt from bitter experience," I actually think it was that meeting that they're referring to, which was leaked, admittedly by me, in the Mail on Sunday, which probably didn't really help.
It's all your fault, Charlotte.
I know. Such a troublemaker.
You've absolutely lost. It's there. The judges read it. The lawyers have read it. You can't get away with it. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Prince Harry always denied knowing Charlotte Griffiths, but now their private chats just hit the courtroom, and they tell a completely different story. The worst part is that these messages didn't just expose a secret relationship. They might have just blown up Harry's entire court case and handed Charlotte the revenge she's been waiting for. For those who don't know, Prince Harry is fighting a legal battle right now. A big, messy case against the press, all about privacy, lies, and how far the media went to get stories on him.
Absolutely. So Prince Harry's court case, some of the key tenets of it is against in part the Daily Mail, was that they used unlawful tactics and phone hacking to get information on him, that he never socialised with journalists, that he did not have a leaky friend group, and that he remembers everything clear as day from that particular period of his life, and that basically they must have essentially hacked his phone in order to get information and make his life a living hell.
But here's the part no one saw coming. As if that case wasn't already hanging by a thread, Charlotte Griffiths just stepped in, and now this whole thing is starting to look like a setup that Harry might not survive. Because this isn't just old speculations coming back, it's personal. And according to people close to the situation, this looks a lot like revenge. Now pause for a second and think about this. Charlotte Griffiths stayed quiet for years about her intimate relationship with Harry. So why now? Why is everything suddenly coming out right when Harry is in court, fighting to prove his truth?
Charlotte Griffiths is getting her revenge on Prince Harry after the release of those bombshell messages.
That's where things start getting uncomfortable. Because those leaked messages, they don't just tell a story, they contradict what Harry told under oath. Harry told the court that he barely knew Charlotte, that they met once, and that was it. But the messages, they paint a completely different picture. We're talking about long conversations, flirty exchanges, and intimate jokes like they had a real connection.
By the fact that it was revealed that, well, he clearly doesn't remember everything because he clearly was socialising with a journalist. He was actually quite flirtatious with her. He initiated the conversations as well. And so it's kind of a bit of a mic drop moment for the Mail newspapers, really. It was in their closing arguments that actually perhaps Prince Harry has been caught telling a few porky pies, maybe misleading the court, certainly not got the best recollection of events.
Harry's team isn't even denying the messages anymore. They've admitted they're real, but instead they're pushing a different angle, that Harry didn't know she was a journalist. And let's be honest for a second, does that even make sense? Because in some of those messages, he's literally asking her about work, talking like someone who knows exactly who he's dealing with.
There have been briefings and leakings and planting of stories against me and my wife. You know, the family motto is never complain, never explain, but it's just a motto. And it doesn't really hold.
There's a lot of complaining and a lot of explaining.
Endless.
Private being done through leaks.
Say out of everyone, because he's quite clearly lied. As I said, not little lies. These are big. It's not like, oh, he might have met her a couple of times. He had a full-blown relationship with her. Dress it up as you will, call it what you will, whether they were intimate, whether they not. You can tell by those messages that went on for a few months that they knew each other.
So now people are asking the obvious question. If he knew her very well, then why say he didn't? And if he didn't, then why do these wild messages say otherwise? Either way, it's not looking good. And this is exactly where the narrative flips completely, because this isn't just about a messy past anymore, but about credibility. If Harry lied about this, what else did he bend in that courtroom? In a courtroom, that kind of contradiction doesn't just sit there quietly, it spreads. Because once a judge starts seeing gaps in your story, everything else you've said gets looked at again, and with more doubt. Even the parts that might be true stop feeling solid. That's how serious this is.
Well, I think in the case of these messages, we're assuming that they're genuine. This was a Facebook exchange. I think it's exposed him as a terrible liar, because he said to the High Court in January that he didn't know any journalists, and when the name of this particular journalist, who's still working at the same publication, was raised, he said, oh, I might have met her at a party, and as soon as I found out she was a journo, I cut off contact. And yet this string of messages goes on for months.
And this isn't about one message or one mistake. It's about whether Harry's version of events can still be trusted at all. And remember, this case already depends heavily on his word. There isn't any clear proof for every claim he's making against the press. A lot of it comes down to what he says happened, how he remembers it, and whether the court believes him. So if one part starts to fall apart, it doesn't stay isolated. It creates a ripple effect. Suddenly the court has to ask, was this just a bad memory, or was it something more deliberate? And once that question enters the room, it changes everything. Because now Harry isn't just fighting the press anymore, he's fighting doubt. And doubt, especially in a case like this, can be more damaging than any headline ever was.
Yes, that's right. He's a fool. He's an absolute fool, but he's done this several times. He keeps going. You might try and go back and take another case about this as well. You know, he doesn't seem to think sensibly. I mean, anyone would know that if you had that sort of writing from a girlfriend who lasted 2 months, which is a time, not just once, and then you try to sort of get that sorted, and you've lost. You've absolutely lost.
Now let's talk about Charlotte for a second. Because the internet is split on her. Some are questioning her too. The thing is, if you had this kind of relationship with Harry, how were you reporting on him? And that's fair. But here's the part people keep coming back to. She kept quiet for years. She could have dropped this story a long time ago, boosted her career, made headlines, but she didn't. So when someone like that finally speaks, people start asking, what pushed her? And that's where the revenge angle comes in. According to reports, Harry didn't just distance himself from her. He allegedly tried to damage her career, grouped her in with other journalists, accused them of using illegal methods, painted them all with the same brush. Charlotte's friend Sarah Louise Robertson framed it as what it is, revenge. She wrote, "Very pleased my dear friend Charlotte has gotten her revenge. For years, she's kept a dignified silence about their former friendship. Now she's finally been allowed to legally expose Prince Harry for the liar he really is. His word means nothing now. How sweet victory must feel. And the timing? It couldn't be worse for Harry. Because this is all happening while his case is still active. Meaning everything that comes out now, it doesn't just stay online. It follows him straight into that courtroom. Now, let's zoom out for a second. Because this isn't happening in isolation. This is stacking on top of everything we've already seen. And if you remember, this isn't the first time Harry's story hasn't lined up. Think back. The Oprah interview, the Netflix series, the book Spare. Every time, his version of events doesn't match what others say.
He told lots of lies. In my biography, he told me loads of things about how the people looked after him. William, his father, he had two sort of nanny friend types, one male, one female. He had protection officers. He had all sorts of people looking after him and boosted him and really cared for him. He wasn't allowed to do anything dangerous either because he had about 8 of them around him all the time. So he's actually talking about nonsense.
Interesting. So you're going down the lost and lonely young man who's coping with trauma in the past. What do you make of it, Christo?
I mean, lost and lonely young man, isn't he? I think he's 40,
he's 40
now.
I mean,
he's 40.
To me, he's young. Okay.
He's a duplicitous, self-centred, vile, disloyal hypocrite. He really is. And then what he's done since then is slowly but surely chip away at the crown and the validity of the crown and the credibility of the crown. And not only did he accuse his family of racism whilst both the Queen was suffering, the late Queen was suffering dreadfully, but also the late Prince Philip, but also now he goes on once again and gives another interview giving private information and expects to be the victim.
Now let's talk about what those messages actually show. Because it's not just the fact that they exist. It's what they reveal about Harry. Those messages reveal a completely different side of Prince Harry from the image he tries to present to the world. This was Mr. Mischief, playful, flirty, and reckless. In those messages, he is joking about late nights, hangovers, and snuggling up. That version of Harry doesn't match the one standing in court claiming distance, caution, and limited contact. And when those two versions clash, people start picking sides.
They had love letters. It was movie snuggles and G-strings.
Yes, and what can we be very naughty next weekend? You know, all that. So he's crazy. He's done that stupidly, and it won't...
In court, in front of a judge.
Yes.
Now let's go a little deeper, because some of those messages have raised even more eyebrows. There are hints, subtle but noticeable hints, references to partying, reckless nights, and that nickname H-bomb. Now, for those who know, that's not just a random nickname. It's been linked to party culture.
From the US.
Yeah, it's very interesting because when I heard him say what drugs he's taken without feeling uncomfortable in any way, I thought to myself, he's going to be in trouble.
Mm-hmm. And suddenly, people are asking even more questions. Was Harry living a very different life behind the scenes? And if so, how much of that did the public never see? Now think about this carefully. This is the same man who has spent years talking about privacy, being targeted, and his life being invaded by the media. But is his fight really about privacy or control? Because it looks very different depending on who's telling the story. And this is where things start hitting Meghan too. Because she knows that they are a unit. If one of them does something wrong, both of them face the consequences. Because of the behavior of these two, public support is already slipping. Not just in the UK, but also in the US. Polls showed it clearly. People weren't buying the narrative anymore. Some even started calling for their royal titles to be stripped.
I wish that the royal family would take away their titles like they did with Prince Andrew, because
I think they will.
Crimes are almost comparable here.
I think they will.
Think about that. That's not just criticism. It's a complete shift in how they're seen. And now, this Charlotte situation just added fuel to that fire. Because it reinforces the one thing the internet has been whispering. Meghan is allegedly losing her mind because this case Harry is fighting, it's not small. If he loses, we're talking serious consequences, massive legal costs, reputation damage. Some reports even suggest potential financial fallout reaching up to £38 million.
If Harry loses, this is a big financial headache for the Duke, isn't it?
Yes, he owes masses of money.
Millions. It'll run into millions, won't it?
But honestly, the money might not even be the worst part. Because money can be rebuilt, but credibility? That's harder. Once people stop believing you, everything changes. And he is dragging the royal family into his messy situation.
The prince. It's been very embarrassing for King Charles to see his son suing a national newspaper, the most read English language newspaper in the world. The royals don't sue the press, so this is a nightmare for Charles.
Yes, it is a nightmare.
It's just not what they do, Angela.
But it's his poor Charles has had a terrible time.
This has hit Harry and Meghan at a time when they are already struggling to maintain their reputation. Hollywood is already cooling off, deals are not hitting the same, the brand is not as strong as before. And now this? A court case hanging in the balance and a revenge story exposing cracks in his narrative. It starts to feel like a breaking point. So now the real question is if it's just bad timing or if this is the moment everything finally catches up. Because if Charlotte's messages are just the beginning, what else could come out? And if more people start speaking, how much of Harry's story will hold up? And let's take it one step further. If the court starts to question his credibility, does that put the entire case at risk? And most importantly, can Harry and Meghan recover from this kind of damage? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you're watching this unfold with me, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. I will see you in the next video.